right, let's go ahead and get started. So welcome tonight, all of you who have taken some time out of your business to get some training on how to do a seller consultation or a listing appointment on Zoom. As many of you know, Zoom is a pretty easy system, and you guys are all on it every single Monday night. So if you ask me, there's a lot of different types of Zoom or platforms to use for these types of consultations. My advice to you would be to use whatever you're comfortable with. So for me, having to learn a new piece of technology or Google Hangout or any of these other products, I would just do what you're comfortable with, which Zoom, if you've seen me do these every Monday, it's pretty simple. The user interface is very easy, and I'm doing interviews, I'm doing seller consultations, buyer consultations from the comforts of my home or from my office. And I've been doing that since COVID happened. So there really is no need for you to physically go, sit across the table from your sellers. You can do most of the discussion and consultation on Zoom. So tonight we're going to talk really about the fundamentals, some things you need to keep in mind, maybe some things to prep yourself on before you enter this arena, because more of these listing agents are doing their consultations on Zoom and winning. So if you're putting yourself in harm's way and also going out and physically meeting, some of the sellers are going to be resistant to list with you, and they may want to go with somebody that has more experience, more knowledge, and more preparation. And I can prove to you today that if you kind of do some of these things that are part of the formula, you'll have a higher likelihood of sellers wanting to work with you. So hopefully you'll take a few tips out. I don't mean to be the end all be all. Candace Frazier is on the call. She's our sales manager, and she also does a lot of Zooms. So if she needs to step in and correct me, Candace, be my guest. I'm not the expert on this by any means, but I certainly have seen the value of it. And even if with it short, some of the things I'm going to talk about tonight, I can certainly see that the results are coming very easily from it when I do it. Let's go to the next slide, Shannon. So just a quick, I love quotes. For those of you that know me, every week, I love affirmations. I love quotes. And this one is one that's really just sitting with me well. And I've had this in my bathroom, and I've put it in my work, in my car. And it's just the 3 simple rules in life. If you do not go after what you want, you'll never have it. I love that, number 1. If you do not ask, the answer will always be no. That kind of takes me back to my childhood. I always asked, even if the answer was no. And that probably is what made me a good real estate agent, is I always wanted to go for the yeses. I'd ask enough questions to be able to get the answers that I wanted. So if you do not ask, the answer will always be no. Always ask for the sale. I love that, number 2. And number 3, if you do not step forward, you will always be in the same place. And I love this one for sellers because a lot of sellers are timid. They're not wanting to step forward. And so if you can be the voice and the consultant and let them know, if you don't step forward, if you don't enter this market, you're going to be in the same place. And that's not very comfortable for many people that I talk to right now, especially sellers. When they start to see some of the market knowledge, information, what we can do to help them make this process easier for them, a lot of times just overcoming number 3. If you do not, as a seller, step forward, you'll always be in the same place. You'll be in this place. I had this conversation with a lady today. She is living in Des Moines. She's lived in the house for a long time. She's a nurse. She's also a stay-at-home mom. Husband is a chiropractor. And so they're very busy people. And I told her, I said, and I just texted her just about a month ago. And I said, that number 3, I just kind of put it in a quote, and I sent it off to her just saying, hey, I was thinking about you. Just wanted to share a quote with you. If you do not step forward, you'll always be in the same place. And she's like, Rochelle, you are so right. That's why I want to get together with you. And my New Year's resolution in January was to be at least moving forward and getting her home prepared. She's at the point now where she's ready to probably put the market on. I got her confirmed for like April. So we kind of joked about April Fools, but at least we're moving forward and we're stepping forward rather than just staying in the same place. She's not happy. Her kids are getting older and she wants to experience Vashon Island. So she'll be buying a home in Vashon and selling her home in Des Moines. But again, she'd still be, if I didn't interact with her from a real estate perspective, she would still be living in the home in Des Moines, pretty frustrated when she gets home from work and being in a space where she's doing homeschooling and she does not have the space to really have the time in her to do her art and also to do some relaxation and also to raise her family. So she's definitely needing more space. And so she's looking to me to help her with the 3 simple rules in life, which is those 3 that I have on the screen tonight. So thought I'd share that little affirmation with you guys. You could take 1, 2, or 3, but lovely. I've been loving all 3 of them lately. Let's go to the next slide. So I really want to go through kind of an example. And so the scenario I just gave you was another seller that I spoke with, a text message I received. I want to know what we need to do on the house should we be interested. So again, somebody who's talking about their living situation. She texts, our hot tub still needs parts to get it going. The kitchen countertops are still the same. The cabinets are pretty much done. We know we talked about since the roof was done, they got their roof done, I guess, during the coronavirus, pandemic time. She was waiting for somebody to come out and do that, but she got that done. Just wanted to zero in on some ticket items. Could we talk before Tuesday sometime? Let me know at work today and tomorrow. She's basically saying she's at work today and tomorrow, and I said, exciting. Do you have time on Monday? Now, I could have answered her questions by text, but notice the strategy here. We don't want to use texting as the way to communicate. Use texting as a way to confirm appointments, to get quick questions or to answer quick questions, but something like this where they're really trying to understand what things do I need to do to my home in order for it to be marketable. That's definitely a clue for you that they are ripe and ready for a listing appointment. So she says, yes, how about afternoon, say 12 to 1-ish? Just want to mow over some ideas. I said, yes, that works. I'll send you my Zoom link. So the moment you have this type of exchange where you want to set up an appointment and do it on Zoom, and then I send her my Zoom link, you saw right after that, and then I send her a calendar invite, there are some things that you want to prepare and set aside so that you can continuously do this on a regular basis. 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to 4, 4 leads to 8. It multiplies when you have a solid process. So hopefully tonight you'll come up with some ideas and build your solid process. Go to the next slide, Shannon. You want to be able to win the listing before you see it. There is so much competition out there for the listings, you guys, that you have to win it before you see it. So how do you do that? You do it using technology. You use Zoom. Schedule the appointment like I just did by text. You can do it by text, you can do it by phone, you can do it by email, whatever the methodology is or however the client likes to communicate. Then 24 hours before that appointment, you send them either a text, an email, something to the effect, and I'll show it. Go to the next slide, Shannon. I think it's ready, the next slide. Next one. Yeah. Oh, no, back one more. There we go. It says, hi, Tyler, see attached. This was an email I sent. We will discuss this on our Zoom meeting tomorrow at 1 p.m. So what you want to do is you want to, before that, 24 hours before, go back to my 3 things you got to do, Shannon, if you could. 24 hours before, you want to go ahead and get a copy of a trio. And then you want to send them the email or a text, however they like to communicate, with a copy of the trio of whatever you got from your title officer. Then you want to, 4 hours before, just send a nice little email or text. I look forward to speaking with you about your questions. And you do that 4 hours before. That way, in case, I have something that came up, or my clients, or my kids are stuck in a Zoom meeting at school. It's a way for you to confirm. So people are getting so many Zoom appointments that you need to schedule it. And the sooner you can schedule it, the better. People ask me, should I schedule it for the same week, the same day, it just needs to be scheduled. Schedule the appointment, whatever makes sense for them. Get it on the calendar. 24 hours before, get the preliminary trio, email, text out to the seller, and with a simple message, don't go into a lot of detail. And then 4 hours before, just confirm it. I'm looking forward to talking with you about your questions. I did this exact formula or structured strategy for my appointment that I did today, you guys. And it was so cool. She texted me, I did the 4 hours before. And I said, hey, so excited about talking with you about your plans. Again, this is the text message that I just showed you earlier. And she's like, text me, she'd be like, can we move it to 1 o'clock? You know, it was 12 o'clock is when I scheduled it for my lunch break. And I said, absolutely. And she's like, thank you so much for being accommodating. So again, we're all about building rapport. Somebody asked, what's a trio? A trio you get from the title company. It is the legal description. Go to the next slide, Shannon. It's the legal description. It's the property profile. So that's the property profile right here. And you order that trio from escrow. Any title and escrow company should be able to provide you within 15 minutes. If you're not getting it in 15 minutes from your title company, go find a different title company. I mean that seriously. I called CW and got this one in 15 minutes before my appointment because they wanted to meet right away. So you should be able to get the property profile, the legal description, and the last vesting deed when they bought the property. That way you know who's you're Zooming with. That way you know how to fill out the listing contract. That is the most important piece of the puzzle that you need before you just dive on Zoom. And by using it as kind of a tool to let them know that you're kind of taking an assumptive approach. And the assumption is that I am prepared to jump in and gather information and help in correlating that information and analyzing that data so that you get the best service possible. So you really want to set the stage by opening up getting the trio. Now, opening up title is different, and I can have a title company get on and tell you all about that. But really all you need at this point in the game is a trio. It takes 15 minutes. Any title or escrow company will do it. And it will have a copy of the statutory warranty deed you see right there. And like I said earlier, 24 hours before you do the appointment, send them a copy of all 3 items: the last vesting deed, which you see here on the screen, the legal description, and the property profile. They will go, And again, all you want to say is, we will discuss this on our Zoom meeting tomorrow at 1. So it's not overwhelming, like we're sending them all of the CMA or we're sending them all of this research. No, we're just letting them know we're taking an assumptive approach, that we're getting the ball rolling. It does not cost you anything for this trio. It does not, it just takes some time and some relationship building with your title company. So go ahead and do that. And then the next slide, Shannon, if you could go to the next one. How do you really get it? So now we're into the phase of actually doing the Zoom session. So I want to go through and roll through it. But before I do that, the key thing that you want to do before you just jump on Zoom is you want to get a copy of the listing presentation. You'll want to have the property profile. Again, what you say, and then you following up when you actually put it on Zoom is very, very important. When you do that, and you also want to have the listing agreement pre-filled in, the entire thing, no blanks, it all needs to be filled in. So you'll notice when I do this as a test for you guys tonight, I'm doing it in a way that Shannon is my Pam, and we're going to have like a little Zoom session, and she's going to have in her tabs, or in my tabs, if I was doing the preparation, I would have all of the things I want to show on the Zoom already uploaded. So all I have to do on Zoom is say, may I share my screen with you? And then I can flip through. So it's just like Shannon has right here. There's my listing presentation. There is my deed, my last vesting deed. And there is my property profile. And then I would also have my listing agreement already on the screen. There's my 4th tab. All of that is ready to go. You might also want to showcase, especially if you are a top listing agent, you also might want to pull up the MLS, literally the MLS or your website. So you can show a past listing, or you can show a competitor and what a competitor did. that you will not do, anything like that will give people relevant market information. But have all of that prepared, and don't dive on Zoom until you have those tabs up on your screen, so that's easy for you to toggle back and forth between each piece. Let's go to the next slide, Shannon, so I can kind of get them prepped for what we're going to do quickly here. So you know what the preparation, then the takeaways, really when you're doing it on Zoom, you want to make sure that you have a place where you can take notes. Either you take notes on the screen, which some of you guys might be good at doing. For me, I'm still not acclimated. I like to talk, I like to interact. And for me, I've always taken notes on my pad of paper. So you want to have a way for you to take notes, or have the appearance to your seller or your potential seller that you are listening and taking notes. So either a Word document that you're taking notes on, or on your phone, or on your notepad, on your other computer or your other screen, or simply on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter. You do need to take notes throughout the Zoom call that you're with them on. And the other thing I want you to keep in mind when you're doing it on Zoom is you don't want to pitch them. This is not a pitch. This is all about collaborating, asking questions, like I said earlier with my quote, building a plan, getting them involved. That is all a winning strategy. The first 3 minutes of your Zoom call is super critical. You pretty much will be either the listing agent or you're not, based on your first 3 minutes. So you better have your preparation done, and then you need to build a ton of rapport in your first 3 minutes. You don't have a long time. You can't be fumbling around. You've got to be the first one to show up on your Zoom. Don't be the last. Make sure you're on time or you're early. On time for listing appointments, you guys, is 10 or 15 minutes earlier before Zoom, before your required time. So don't do back-to-back Zooms like 1 o'clock and 12 o'clock. Make sure you give yourself enough time to get through. It doesn't take long to do one of these sessions. I plan 30-minute sessions, but don't do back-to-back. That will be not good, especially if you have your next seller jumping on a Zoom, right? I've done it before. I've actually done interviews, and we learned the hard way. So make sure that you give yourself some space, about 30 minutes in between. If you're going to do 2, 3, 4 seller appointments in a day, which some people are doing, you guys, don't kid yourself. There are people out there scheduling Zooms and scheduling listing appointments to do a few of these a day. And that means that their numbers, that means their listings are going to be quite high. So you do need to build rapport. And here are my 3 or 4 or 5 ideas that I've used, and they are very, very good. How's the online learning going for your family? If you know they have kids that are doing online Zoom, ask them how it's going. Just build rapport. I have kids, so it's easy for me to align with somebody when I say, how's the online learning going for your family? Then I get the sense of, oh my gosh, Rochelle, like, thank you so much. Like the gal said today, thank you so much for being accommodating. My daughter's class went over and she needed some help with her math homework. And by you being so flexible, I really appreciate. It's like, no problem. That's what I'm here for. As your listing agent, I want to make sure that you have what you need when you need it. And I get it, and so we have a good time of really building rapport with that question. So that would be one of my first and really good questions that I've used, because I have kids and they're also struggling with the online learning. It's a way for us to build a bridge, and it's not anything to do with real estate. You need something that you can build rapport and find common ground on that's not related to real estate. And you're not in their home, really. I mean, you could mention something about the background. It looks like you're at home in your home office. How's work going? You want to build rapport and meet them where they're at. Have you been on a lot of Zoom calls? I know Candace has used that one. And I think that's a good one, Candace. But if you have other ones that you use, any other questions, if you guys want to just chat that, put that in the chat, that would be really helpful here. May I share my screen and show you the document I emailed you? That one is a must, especially if you did do the 3-step process that I showed you guys earlier. 24 hours before, you should have sent them the trio with a simple message. This is kind of connecting the dots. It's showing that you're professional. It's showing that you're prepared. And it's also getting right into the presentation. May I share my screen? And honestly, you guys, I'll give you a little tip on Zoom. If you don't like being on camera, guess what? When you share your screen, your picture goes super small. You're not so big. And for me, that's all I needed to kind of get over my obstacle of doing training and doing presentation on Zoom is like, oh my gosh, hurry and share my screen. The sooner you can get to share my screen, the smaller your picture becomes. And if you're kind of camera shy or your photo, you're concerned about what you look like on Zoom, then make sure you get to that question really quick in your first 3 minutes. Ask a kind of a warm-up question and then just say, hey, may I share my screen with you and show you the document I emailed you earlier? You may have been thinking some of those things, that's a probing question. And you might have been thinking, how does Rochelle do all this? Or how does Candace do all of these listing appointments? And what I'd like to share with you today is how we get people top dollar, we get their home marketed, and we get it done with the least amount of stress possible. This is a setup question that if you do in your first 3 minutes, it will actually, you kind of tie it up on your conclusion on Zoom with that. You might have been thinking, because you want to start to make that seller think and then let them know that you also have been thinking about some things as well. The other thing you could also share to build rapport, I know you have been speaking with other people. Again, if you know this, most people do. They're speaking with approximately 2 or 3 other agents that are in the business before they decide on one listing agent to take their listing. So you could, if you know that they're interviewing, I know you've been speaking with other people, and that's great. You want to acknowledge that that's a great idea because it's a big decision when they decide to list with somebody. What I'd like to do today, or the next 15 minutes, or the next 30 minutes, is discuss in an alternative way that maybe Best Choice Realty and I could get you similar results, but have a different way of looking at it. Would you be open to something like that? That's an intriguing question. That's an intriguing statement that gets the ball rolling. Again, your first 3 minutes are super critical. Would love to know if you guys have used some other building rapport type questions on your Zoom meetings. Candace, would love to hear from you, but let's just go ahead and go to the next slide so you can know what I'm going to talk about with Shannon. The formula to win is number 1. If you want to take a little snapshot of this or get to this point when you're listening to the recording, take a sample listing, have it filled out. You don't need a price. Don't stress over pricing, you guys. The pricing is changing on a weekly basis. In almost all of the areas we service, the pricing changes on a weekly basis. So if you have an appointment with somebody and they're not ready to go on the market that same week, your pricing is going to be way off. So take the pressure off of yourself. You don't need to come up with a price in this meeting. This meeting is all about your seller. It's all about solving the question of what is their needs and how can I help them solve some of their challenges. You don't need a price to do that. And a lot of you guys are stressing out about, I don't have a CMA. I didn't prepare a CMA. You don't in this marketplace. What you need is a good strategy. You need to be a good consultant. You need to have all your preparation done, showing them some samples, show them the marketing plan, show them some samples, show them what you've done for other people, help them. You guys are kind of working together on the timeline. I'm going to show you how that works using a marketing calendar, and then show them some results and close out the call. That doesn't take more than 30 minutes, you guys. I've done it about a dozen times in the last couple months, and you're going to see that I'm going to have 3 listings in the next week. So I know this stuff works, but you got to be not so stuck about the price and start digging into that. You need to build rapport and trust and show them how you have helped others. And if you have not done this before, I would highly recommend you get a partner or somebody that's experienced or professional who has done this on Zoom to jump on with you and help you through this. And maybe you guys go and you decide on a 50-50 partnership, or you co-list, or you do something so that you get the experience at doing these Zoom meetings. You've got to do a lot in order for you to know how to say the right things and present the right information. And if you don't have the past to rely on, you don't have a past listing, then find somebody that does that. And I have names. Candace has people that are willing to mentor you or to partner with you on a listing. Go ahead and take that offer, because it's the best way to learn how to do a listing is to partner with somebody. And then if you don't have results, you could show references, or you could say, call. I had a gal who had not done any listings in her past. She was a go-getter. She's done Zoom meetings and she's with Best Choice. So what she did, it was very clever. She has never been a listing agent before. She's never taken a listing. All she had to do was say, I had a happy client from my past. She happened to be a lender. And she had that happy client call that seller. And she said, hey, when I get done presenting to you, I want to show you how serious I am about taking your listing and getting you where you need to be. And what I'm going to have Sally do, and I won't give you the name, I'm going to have Sally, my happy client, give you a call today and just tell you a few things. And you can ask her any questions about how I work. And what she'll tell you is that I work hard and I will do my very best to get you where you need to be. And no problem. Seller signed the listing agreement with a brand new agent. She'd just been licensed less than 4 months. So it does work. You need to show them results, or you need to have a happy client. You need to have some sort of reference, somebody that can vouch for your credibility. Let's go to the next slide. I think that was it on the slides. Okay, and then the close. So then the close, it basically goes like this. So here's what happens next, Shannon. I will send you a copy of the Form 17. I will send you a copy of such and such. Tomorrow, I will do a deep dive based on what you're telling me. By Wednesday, we will align our timeline, and then I go to work. People like that phrase, I go to work for you. And then I'll update you at the very least every Monday. So that's kind of a good close. Here's what happens next. When you're closing out your Zoom, you need to get them to let them know that you're the professional. So instead of them asking you a lot of questions, and they'll ask you a ton of questions about how you're going to market and what do you think about the price and what do you think about what they need to do to their home and should they replace their bathroom or should they replace their countertop? All of those questions you will answer, except for the price. But then here's what will happen next. I will send you an agreement to sign. By Wednesday, we will align our timeline. And then I'll go to work and we'll come up with a price. And every week the pricing changes. And one of the things I pride myself on as a listing agent is that I don't leave any money on the table. We want to make sure that the strategy aligns with your goals and your expectations of the process. And then we will update you every Wednesday or every Monday or whatever date you select. You need to have your conclusion. You need to have some sort of close that ties it with the bow. And just like I said at the very beginning, when we started this process, I want to make sure that I line my goals with your goals. And what that means is doing that with the least amount of hassle. So whenever you start the presentation, conclude with it and ask for the sale. Tell them what's going to happen next. And then let them be the one to put the roadblock. Ooh, I don't know, that's going too fast. They're most likely not going to. Here's what happens next. I'll send you the agreement. I'll check in with you tomorrow and we'll go from there, or we'll talk about the pricing. Having the confidence to close is half the battle. If you do a lot of presenting and you basically don't close, then what's going to happen is somebody that is experienced is going to go in there and going to take the listing from you and you won't even know what hit you. I've won out. There was one listing that I took. There was 4 other real estate brokers who 3 of them, I believe, had physically gone to the property and toured the property. And then the other one did it on Zoom. And then we just happened to get it signed around. So Shannon and I are partnered on it. And that listing will go live on Wednesday, Thursday this week. But I used this close and Shannon saw how it worked. You have to close. Otherwise, the seller is not going to take any action. They're going to think that you don't have the strength to be able to get the job done when it actually comes to negotiating a deal. The other one you can do if you don't want to use here's what happens next, and it's a very confident play, is involve them in the close. Is there anything else that we can build or plan around that will make you comfortable to get started? I love that one because it's involving that potential seller. Oh, Rochelle, we didn't talk about this. It takes longer to get to the close. It takes longer to get them to sign their paperwork. it does, you know, if you're not as confident with number one, definitely try the, is there anything else that we can build or plan around that will make you comfortable moving forward? Again, same kind of way of saying what I have there in the second statement. But that's the most important part, is the close. Let's go back to the things, Shannon. So just go off the line and let's just try this out. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a whirl. So just real quick, Shannon, I got a couple minutes. So just to kind of recap, make sure before you start your Zooms on listing, you have the listing presentation. If you don't have a listing presentation or a customized one, some of you have actually taken the time and actually customized your listing presentation. That's awesome. Lori will do it for you, and it's not going to cost you a ton of money, but you would have to send her an email and kind of tell her what you want to have customized, and she'll have to give you a quote of what it would take to modify this listing presentation or to make it your own, but it's not that expensive to do it. choicehomesforsale.com. If you want just the generic one because you want to start going on Zoom listing appointments, just go to Choice Homes for Sale. The seller actually can download it right from our website. Boom, right there. You click on sell. So you guys can also download it right from our website as well. So easy place for you to go. And then what you want to do is you want to also have the calendar up. Remember I told you earlier, you want to discuss when you're on the phone with them, the listing presentation, the calendar, this calendar right here. You don't want to forget to talk about the calendar. This calendar, when I send my email to follow up with them and provide the disclosures that I'm required to send them by law, I also have taken notes. This market calendar has been super helpful. I tell them that I've taken notes about their timing and what I'm going to do to market their home throughout the Zoom meeting. And then I take this and I send this to them either by text or by email, along with the disclosures I'm required to send them by law. I have proof that I've sent that to them. And as you can see on my market calendar, I have their move date on the 30th and the 31st. I have these downstairs that gets moved. Then I got to finish the painting. Then we have staging on there, touch-ups, warranty, inspections, preliminary inspections, disclosures, final pricing check. We discussed that on our meeting on the 7th, photos, video on the 8th. Notice that I just took this blank calendar and I just penciled everything in, or I put it in pen. You guys can use this as a tool in your conversation with that potential seller. You could actually pencil something up and actually put it as an attachment and just say, hey, based on what you told me the last time we talked, here's what I can do for you. Here's how I would want to market it. We review the marketing. We go live on the 10th. We have showings the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Do an offer review date on the 16th. We get mutual acceptance. If we don't, I've got a plan to do an open house on the 20th. Wow. And then on top of that, I did a little research on your place, found out what the median days on the market were, median sales price, the percent of list price, it's 103.4%. How much supply? There's not much supply. So that's why I would recommend going with a offer review strategy. That's how I'm setting myself apart from, say, my competitors, because I'm utilizing a market calendar and pre-setting some of these dates. Again, we can always move things around. And again, it's showing based on my experience on how I've set things up that I do what I say I'm going to do. And I follow up when I say I'm going to follow up. And that's what is a winning strategy. And that's how I've been able to get a few listing appointments really without having to try that hard. Having conversations, not being shy, and then setting up these Zoom meetings are going to be very essential going into the next couple months. And if you have not tried it, you should try it with a partner before you do it for real. And there's plenty of Best Choice Realty agents that would be happy to be like a partner with you and just practice before you actually do this for real. So you might want to mock it up, figure out, remember the listing agreement, remember all the things that we had to do ahead of time, do up a market calendar. You're like, Rochelle, where do I get this market calendar? It's on our resource guide. It's in the seller resources. And you can actually pull this blank calendar and mark it up all to your liking. So hopefully that was helpful. Candace, did you have any other things to add? I know I'm a little bit over time tonight.
No, I think that was great. I just want to say that I am open to being that person on the other end to Zoom with you, as I Zoom quite often, and it's a breeze. So feel free to reach out, anybody that would like for me to just be on that other end while you're practicing. I'm happy to give feedback, the whole nine. And that was some of the things that, you know, even I have done in the past, partnering up with somebody, a friend, a family member, and just saying, hey, I just want to meet you on Zoom, give me feedback, and let's keep it moving.
Okay, very good. And I know, Shannon, you've done a few of the setup of the appointments for me. I know you had one question that was really, really good. And can you share that question?
Well, I mean, it's oftentimes you can get a lot of the seller's motivation from that call to set up the appointment. So, if they're speaking to you on the phone, I mean, you know, hey, what's your name? Oh, you got referred by so and so. So I know you're interviewing other people. I understand that. In some situations, you know, some may not have
What's the
multiple
winning
agents
question,
working.
Shannon?
But
Get
the
to the winning
question that I asked that was really helpful, especially for the for Rochelle going into her appointments, is, you know, what are you looking for in an agent, and what can we provide that would kind of set us apart? And, you know,
said that,
let
and
them
they
talk. Yeah, let them talk, because they will tell you exactly what they're looking for. So when Rochelle went in for her appointment, she knows exactly what to speak to.
So the question was, what is it going to take for Best Choice Realty, or what's it going to take for Shannon Hall to get that listing from you, or to help you get where you need to be, right?
Right. So if for personally, you know, like, you know, what can I do that would really set me apart to get, you know, to earn your business?
That's right. That's the question. And it's a great question, Shannon. And we knew that it was like, I think once I got the listing, I asked the seller, I said, what made the difference? Why did you select me? Or why did you select Shannon and I on that listing over, say, the other 4 that you interviewed? And honestly, do you know what he said? You guys, it was a very simple answer. It wasn't because I had I did the CMA, although I did do a CMA, you know, I knew my numbers. It was literally because we cared. Sometimes it's just the simple of doing what you say you're going to do, doing it, and then following up. And that is really the secret to taking listings. So make those phone calls, get those Zoom appointments scheduled. Do not be shy. We have all the resources that you need to be successful here at Best Choice. You just need to be the voice and to get it done. So hopefully that was helpful, you guys. If you have questions or you need additional support, sounds like Candace is up for the challenge. And have a great week, and let's get some more listings on the market. We definitely need them as buyers agents. It was rough this weekend, wasn't it, Shannon?
Oh yeah.
All right, have a good week, you guys.